What is up, everyone? Welcome back. We got Ryan the Rhino back in the chair today, joined today by Coach DK. If you don't know me, I am Drew Curdenbach, Assistant Director for Esports and Arena here at WMU, joined by Ryan the Rhino.
Yeah, I'm Ryan the Rhino. I'm currently on the academy team for the club Overwatch team, and I was an ex-varsity player last semester, so I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it should be a great matchup. We've got Purdue Fort Wayne, some neighbors to the south, right down the road. Kind of a little bit of a rivalry almost in the sense of they're an Indiana school, and I know we don't like to lose to Indiana schools. So definitely going to be a fun one. I know they've matched up once before. What's your thoughts on, they play a team a second time? What's kind of the mindset going in?
I think it's a mindset of kind of getting a feel of who has more presence and kind of has that carry almost you'd say in a team. Sometimes that's a tank, one of the DPS. Kind of get that focus in there to where you focus out one of them, and then you can kind of ignore the others almost per se. So that's how you feel going into it after replaying a team.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun one. It was a 2-1 game in the Swiss stages. Now, in the regular season, obviously, Varsity Overwatch had a really solid regular season. I believe only dropped one game. And then on the other side, a 2-3 Purdue Fort Wayne. So, kind of a mixed season. It looked like they had their ups and downs. And now they're heading into the playoffs. Obviously, now it's single elim. So, records aside, it's do or die tonight.
Yeah, you always got to put it all on for these types of matches. So
Yeah, definitely going to be. Obviously, the teams there, you can see both teams. We have both the club team competing in the Division Two playoffs and the varsity team in the Division One playoffs. The club team taking on St. Clair Academy, a team that is viable for one of the best in the NACE Varsity Plus whole conference, not divisions factored in. So definitely going to be a tough matchup for them. That stream is going on over at Club Esports at WMU on Twitch. Definitely check that out as well. But for now, looking over at our lineup, we've got obviously Monkey on the tank, Vance and Soggy Bread on the supports, and then ISO and Jester on the DPS tonight. Going to be a really kind of a banger matchup. And, looking at our lineup, what are you most excited to see tonight out of these guys?
as a tank player, I'm really excited to see Monkey out there because I think I've only played against him once before, but I know he's a menace on Monkey, on Winston, and all the other tanks for that matter in his hero pool. Also excited to see Jester out there. I haven't seen Jester in a while play on the live screen, so I know his Tracer we'll probably see later on today, and I'm excited to see that as well.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a little Vance ball action. I wouldn't be against it. I know it threw off the comp completely, but I'm all for a little Vance ball action.
Yeah, I when I was playing on varsity with him, Vance Ball is a menace. It's crazy to see back there. It's almost like he's in his own world and he's just in their back line taking out everyone. So it's great to see. Seeing it if Soggy or even their sub Turtle could be in there with the cat even, that would be a great addition to that ball comp.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if we'll see a cat. We've seen Vance on cat quite a few times this season. Watching a lot of their games, I would not be surprised to see the cat make an appearance here. They'll probably even ban the cat after what he can do on the cat. He seems to have an absolute blast every time I've seen him playing, and it's just a fun character.
Yeah, he loves those high damage characters. I've seen him in the past play Ana, his really good Ana, and then that cat does high damage with that dive combo. It's great in there.
Yeah, definitely a fun one. What's your thoughts? Obviously, a bunch of new characters, patch notes, everything. What's your thoughts on the new season and kind of what you're kind of seeing as you compete?
I'm seeing a lot more definitely brawl and like hit scan meta for sure. There's a lot more going into that, especially in the lower elo. But in the higher elo, dive comps will always kind of put a split in a team almost. So seeing the dive comps, which we've been seeing varsity run a lot, is definitely viable for this higher level competition. And going back towards more like longer range maps, hit scan will always be superior. So kind of seeing that Emre, who's been a very vital role in a lot of this hit scan, we're going to see probably quite a bit here.
Yeah, they do some damage, and that ult can wreak havoc. It's one of those. It's like a better Pharah ult almost.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like Farah, I'd see Farah ult and I'd just be like, okay, cool. You might get one. But like I see Emery ult and I'm like, oh, my supports are in trouble. This might actually be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, even with the new patch coming out with the Pharah having those thrusters in her base kit now, it's going to be a little different with her ult because she'll be able to move with her ult now. So that's not going to have too much impact. I still think Emery's ult is superior to Pharah's because of that range and the high damage output, especially with that right click. So it also lasts a lot longer than I thought it would be when he first got released.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's like there's been a couple times I've been in some ranked games and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's done, and then it's absolutely not. Just
Yeah.
get murked from the sky. It's one of those ults you just kind of look up and maybe I play a little bit of Orisa. Okay, a lot of bit of Orisa. Low skill, low elo. But hitting an Emery with a spear, so satisfying.
Yeah, getting an Emery down from his ult at all, like hitting a Mizuki chain or hitting a sleep on him, is just like it's a crazy momentum shift in the match.
Yeah, it definitely is. It looks like taking a little bit, maybe some technical issues. Looks like they're just kind of all joking around here, having a good time. It's what we love to see. The vibes are definitely high heading into this one. This is again the quarterfinals, so still quite a bit of playoffs in front of these guys as we look to wrap up the year. Also want to shout out Esports Club charity stream this Friday, so definitely check that out, as well as some other games going on this week. We've got Thursday night, 2 games going on the varsity side, quarterfinals as well for NACE. Rocket League team will be taking on MacU, and the Smash team will be taking on Minnesota State Mankato. So without further ado, though, we are into the first map. Take us through it. First map, first point. What do you think, Ryan? What do you need to see?
Lijiang, especially on Control Tower, we'll probably be seeing more of a brawly comp going into here. I'm not sure exactly how Varsity's been playing for brawl comps. Probably a Ramatra in there, and then typically you'll see the Jester ISO, depending on the Genji and possibly Sojourn for Jester in there, or Emery, actually, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, we're seeing a Domina, which I've seen them once before, and I will say, Monkey on Domina is absolutely dominant.
Yeah.
That shield just lasts so long and does so much mitigation. I mean, Domina's just a high damage tank. So on the other side, though, another very high damage tank, especially with recent patches, Mauga, going to be getting after here. This is a very interesting split you're seeing between these two teams.
I've seen Mauga teams coming into the meta a little bit more. I know Mauga was very predominant about a season 2 ago, so we'll see that here. I know it looks like they're having a Brick Juno backline, which is very interesting. If you're taking the side angle on here with the Mauga going in. Mauga getting isolated a bit. There goes down Jester here.
No hesitation there at all
Yeah.
from that Mauga. That is a very, very aggressive Mauga, which it makes sense now when you look at Brig Juno, high mobility supports that are able to kind of bail out there. So definitely a good first fight here from Purdue Fort Wayne. The Reaper Junk DPS line definitely very good for this point too. Just a lot of corners for them dipping out of.
Yeah, we see Monkey here swapping to Diva, probably opting for a little more dive, especially, and a counter for the Mauga. So this is Mauga dashing back, taking away that space, and Monkey taking that space. It's like they're all gonna take control of White Room, which is what we consider called Mauga going into the back line. They're trying to get a little bit of split going here, but it's kind of falling apart, especially with their the supports falling back. ISO's still trying to deal with their backline here. Be able to get one on the Junkrat there.
And no DPS up here for Purdue Fort Wayne. Western down a support. Ventral going to come out, counter the Brig ult. Looks like it's going to work out here. Monkey finds the pick onto the Juno. ISO looking for the Mauga here. Finally taking down, maybe. Oh my gosh, he didn't want to die.
He has such high sustain, especially with the shout in there. So it's like Varsity WMU is going to have 3 ults coming into this fight, and about the same, more like 2 for Purdue Fort Wayne right now, having that Juno and the Mauga ult coming in.
Yeah, Reaper's having a little bit of a slow start, it seems
Yep.
like. Really, Reaper's one of those where if you're aware of where they are and really just poke them out, it can be a tough game. WMU doing a great job here. Mauga comes out early into this fight. The Diva does get demagged.
Close up. force out that cage to drop, but in the end it's not enough. Mauga's pretty strong here. Trying to get a little more percentage on that point. ISO just trying to stay alive. And they're getting chased down by the Reaper. Down ISO.
Yeah, another fight won by Purdue Fort Wayne. You do see a couple of ults used on both sides. The Diva ult obviously coming out. Cat ult also being invested. Or no, he wasn't. Yeah. Don't know what I'm saying here. But a couple of ults going to come out. 3 ults ready for the side of Purdue Fort Wayne to defend this push. This is going to be a tough one for WMU. They're going to have to look to kind of neutralize here. They're going to do it with the Emery. Big pick.
On the support. It seems like Purdue Fort Wayne's just kind of cutting that out a little bit. Trying to get a little more percentage on the point. So you need to finish out the fight by Soggy Bread. And also the Riptire trying to get a pick from Purdue Fort Wayne. Brig having ult again, building that really quickly. It's like Purdue turned that fight into their favor by getting both supports out. Ults are being ripped as it's the last fight. And the only one on the near point. If there goes down ISO. Monkey gonna fall late. There goes late Reaper all trying to finish off the fight. Just one little last touch in there. But looks like that'll be it for submap 1.
Yeah, that was a tough fight. That Brig was just dominant that round. Really, like you said, got 2 ults very quickly. No one else on the map was able to build up a second one. The Mauga was getting close, but no one else able to get to that second one. That Brig really putting in some work here. I do expect, though, again, this second, looks like his second map is going to be a little bit more open. Might kind of mitigate some of what that Brig was able to do on that tight first map. So hopefully a little better round here out of WMU. Still a solid round, but they're going to have to figure out how to counter this Brig and Mauga.
Yeah, we're seeing a Vance switching to Ana here, which is a very good swap, especially for that Mauga in this game. We'll see that it's still kind of going that semi-dive with that longer range with Emery and Ana now. So it's good to see.
Yeah, definitely going to have to kind of capitalize on this poke early. It's what they're going to need. They're going to be in this round, and unfortunately, they are going to lose Jester. They've got Mauga in a bad spot here, though. Can they capitalize? Unfortunately, though, they lose a support and a DPS in the process. And the aggressive play from the Mauga continues to pay off for Purdue Fort Wayne.
Yeah, Vance was able to get that sleep and the anti-nade off, but Mauga's still having a shout late into that little brawl there. Was able to keep him alive and sustain him pretty well.
Yeah, that Juno also had a couple of really good shots there and some low players for WMU. A couple of swaps coming out. Jester went far temporarily, but goes to the Soj now. Keeping on that poke. Same comp still for Purdue.
Yeah, he's still swapping from that Emery to the Reaper now. Probably trying to deal with that Mauga a little bit more when he's going in for the backline.
Yeah, the picks early in these fights, the first bloods in these fights have been almost exclusively Purdue. One of those where it's really tough to win every fight 4v5. They're going to have to work on either finding the first pick or just maybe fighting a little bit better as a team here in the second round if they want to keep this map alive.
That high damage output, especially the DPS in the lineup, is causing a little bit of problems with WMU. The Reaper being able to almost blow up the Diva, and the Junkrat able to just kind of help their backline with his grenades. There goes down Junkrat for that, but Cage being dropped down. Nothing to counter here with their ults. WMU has been swapping, so they don't have enough ultimate charge to be able to fight that back. That's a early win for Purdue there.
Yeah, that was a big fight for them. They only invested 1 ult out of that. Monkey does make the swap to Sig here, so maybe looking to use a little bit more mitigation with the shield and the suck, and then also the rock could be really good into this Mauga. Try to create some space, but this backline for the side of WME has been really pressured this game.
Van's trying to get that dive onto that Juno, but Juno being able to just kite that out. Seeing ult come out, nice. That's the last fight, so seeing all the ults being dropped here. You're trying to keep that Sig alive. Sig being able to get out. barely not be able to get that TP off. Vance getting the pick on the Mauga. Ooh. Vance getting whip shoved right at the end from their Brig. The Brig's causing a bit of problems for WMU now.
I can't seem to figure out a good counter. I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see Rom. We didn't get the bans this first map, so Rom could have been banned in theory. I wouldn't be surprised. That Brig is really causing. Obviously, the Mauga, just dominant on the map, but that Brig was just getting charged so fast, really doing a lot of damage, and kind of just holding space. Tough spot to be in if you are the side of WMU. But hey, that's why they give you a best of 5, not just one map. Plenty of time to go here and rally back in here. Going to be an interesting map too. I don't think we'll see Brig Mauga again.
Thinking about it now, I think there might have been a Monkey ban there, a Winston ban. I would have expected Monkey to switch to Winston there towards the end, especially on Garden, that sub map. Very viable for dive. So, although that Brig has been causing problems for both Vance and kind of their dive composition with the Diva, seems like they might go for a Brig ban here. That's been causing a lot of issues for them.
Yeah, I think Brig, it could be Mauga. There's quite a few options. Just those are the two that stand out after that first map. I think that's going to be interesting to see how they want to counter it. Like you said, they've been causing a lot of issues on the map, and just even with the dive, the Mauga is just taking so much space with the Brig that it's so hard to do anything about. Interested to see what they do in this second map. Maybe kind of mess up Purdue and throw them off their game. It is the playoffs though, so obviously, everyone's going to be on their game here. It's going to be interesting to see what adjustments are made.
Yeah, I could definitely see a Mauga ban coming in here or a Brig ban coming in. It's kind of more the Mauga is there to split the team in half. We kept seeing the WMU getting split by that Mauga charge, their backline being split from the Diva, and then usually one DPS. I think it was the Reaper in that last sub map. So keeping that split, and then Diva kind of just gets blown up almost, and having the healers not be able to support at all that front line causes big issues. We saw a lot of swaps towards the end. Hopefully they stick more of a comp that lasts on Garden. They had a lot of problems with ultimate, especially at the end there. They only had 2 ultimates compared to the 4 that Purdue had. So a lot of swapping there kind of cost them a bit more.
Yeah, just trying to figure out a counter there. It's tough. I mean, there's not a lot you can do into a really good Mauga. Unfortunately, you kind of have to play around him and get some picks on his supports, because if he's got both supports up, Mauga is a heck of a hard kill to find. So definitely going to be interesting. Looks like we are heading to Watch Point, which is one of my personal favorites. I love watching that map.
Gibby. Yeah, we call it Watch Point Gibby or just Gibby. That's one of WMU's favorites. Actually, we like picking Watch Point Gibraltar for many reasons. That's especially good for Diva and Monkey, or for Winston diving compositions. So I believe that is a favorite pick here. Also, being able to run the Jester on Tracer here. Tracer is a very popular pick on Watch Point Gibraltar as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think this was definitely the map they wanted here in map 2, which is a good sign of things to come. You get the map you want. It's going to play well into the comps you've done well in. Like you've said, WMU Varsity is kind of known for a dive comp, at least this semester. I think that's where they've kind of thrived. So getting a map where that is a little bit more viable, definitely the right step towards getting this series back to 1-1.
Yeah, one of the main reasons why Watch Point Gibraltar is especially good when they're trying to run a Mauga composition is because of that vertical advantage. Mauga can't really get to high places without going long ways around to get to the stairs. So they'll have to go around and try and force Purdue to have something like a Diva or something with vertical advantage. WMU banning Sigma, interesting, but not bad for Watch Point Gibraltar. Watch Point can be kind of a pokey map almost. So banning Sigma with a high damage output could be an advantage for WMU.
Yeah, I think, when you look at the comp last game, I don't think Mauga is going to be very effective on this map. So it makes sense hold that ban for later in the series on a map that he can kind of do more. I think Sigma makes sense. Again, they can see these player profiles. We can't see them up here. Yeah. So we're not really sure exactly what kind of players we're going against. Could be a guy that has a lot of hours on Sig. And just overall, like you said, Sigma, a pretty solid ban given the map we're on. Players still kind of settling in, and there it is. Purdue's going to ban the cat. I called
Yep.
it earlier. They don't like the cat.
Yeah.
They don't. They hate to see Vance thriving on the cat.
You can see him
And
smirking too.
yeah, he knows. He knows they're scared of the cat, and I
Yeah.
respect it. I'd be scared of the cat too. He right there on that second point, he perfectly ulted, grabbed the Malga, and tossed him into the hole. So I get it. I wouldn't want that personally, especially on that first point of what Gibby, like you said. They're gonna be able to just grab him and throw him off the map. So definitely agree with the ban there for the side of Purdue.
Yeah.
Players finalizing the last couple of thoughts. Coach Obo definitely giving them some insights here.
Yep, definitely. I think WMU also opting to ban a tank, saving either Diva or Winston for Monkey to play is definitely a good option as well. So the cat will be a little more different with the dive composition. Cat being a big part of dive compositions as well. So we'll probably see Vance on the Ana and then Soggy Bread on the Kiriko. So I'm assuming Jester would be on Tracer, ISO, possibly Genji, but more likely Sojourn or Emre, and then Monkey probably on Winston or Diva.
Yeah, I could see that comp working out. The Genji has been very up and down in terms of ISO's skill ceiling is so high and he's so good at the game, but sometimes they can counter it. I think he's talented enough though. He's gonna make it work if it does come down to it. They're gonna be defending first. Is WMU Purdue on the attack? So you guys just tuning in for the first time, so assuming some people might be. Escort is essentially a mode where you're just gonna take a payload, have to escort it to the other side of the map in the basics of it. So
yeah, but it's little section checkpoints as well for each part. So we'll main point is, especially on this first point, is for the defense is to stall as much as possible in the beginning. The point of offense is mainly to kind of sneak the cart underneath the bridge here and kind of force the defense back. That's a big problem I've seen in the past is kind of defense is too focused on holding that high ground that someone like one of their DPS is just sitting on cart, slowly bringing that around, forcing the defense back. So we'll see how they deal with that here. Looks like we're looking at a Genji Sojourn comp, and then for Purdue, very similar composition with but with a Kiri Lucio backline and Winston instead of the Mauga. Like we're saying, the Mauga not really going to be that viable on the Watch Point 12.
yeah, definitely some interesting swaps. Kind of more of a meta backline now for the side of Purdue. For the side of WMU, they've run Wugen quite a bit this season, so not surprised. A good early pick there from Vance on the Ana.
They see Monkey and ISO both going down to help support the payload there. The payload almost sneaking below. So Purdue kind of forced into the corner there. But having to contest that payload below there, especially with the Junkrat just shooting down there, it's going to be difficult, especially with the high damage. Seems like Purdue has a tendency to go high damage DPS, but not really too long a range.
Yeah, they seem pretty comfortable just kind of on this brawl type of comp almost. But it's going to be an even fight here early, 1-for-1. Unfortunately, though, the 1-for-W was a support. Now down 1 here. Jester taken out there. Nice pick, though, from ISO. Nice pick from Vance. Vance putting in work on the Ana. That's a fight 1 for WMU.
Yeah, Vance is very good on the Ana. I've seen many. He's probably gotten a couple sleeps that we haven't seen here and a couple good nades. But being able to protect your Ana, which is part of the Wu Ying's job, is very vital here. Along with Sojourn applying damage to anyone who's trying to get on top of that Ana.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like Genji gets caught.
Yeah, ISO falling early to that trap. That could be a good favor for WMU, but WMU probably looking for a trade here of some kind. Just being dove, be able to get out from that monkey dive. Winston dive.
Yeah, that's a big kind of dive out of there. That could have really turned the fight. Ult here from Jester, as well as the enemy Kiri and on a Nano.
This Nano blade, a little bit late on the blade, but being able to get in there. ISO going ham, getting that fade out of the Reaper early. There Winston falling and then the Reaper falling later. Trying to get possibly a little bit of stagger on their supports here.
Yeah, that'd be a huge stagger if they can find this Lucio late.
There you
Nice.
go. And the Kiri late.
Nice.
Really good staggers by WMU there.
Yeah, big thing is, though, they did invest 3 ults into those last couple of fights and only 1 on the side of Purdue. So this can be a tough couple of fights here. They're going to have to really kind of clutch up, if you will. They've got a Wu Yang ult and they've got a Winston ult.
Probably trying to focus out the Lucio would be the best option here, because trying to get beat out early and or force it out. There goes the Lucio, as I was mentioning. They'll force that out. Soggy being able to get the pick on the Winston as well. Kind of just cleaning up here for WMU. Possibly trying to get another stagger, but Monkey kind of get caught in a trap, almost falling. But
Yeah, Wu Yang having to dive in there and take out the Junkrat. Big pick there. Now they do have the Wu Yang ult ready. They're nearing that Ana, so maybe a chance here. I mean, it's still 4 ults, but 37 seconds here. If you're Purdue, you kind of have to force the issue.
there was tidal wave coming out of Soggy. Getting 1. They're trading for 2. Both WMU having no supports now. Trying to get forced out that Kiri. Just getting shot from Reaper from behind. Monkey gonna try getting a late touch, trying to stall a little bit, but looks like it's not gonna be enough.
Yeah, I mean, all things aside, getting it sub 30 seconds, it's a nice start.
Yeah, I'd say that's one of the harder sections of this map to hold. Is definitely that first point, especially with trying to play the high and lows of that portion of the map is very difficult.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is going to be potentially a chance for them to hold him to 2. Maybe even 1 if they play this correctly. And that's huge. I mean, as you know, a lot of these teams will get free. Auto.
Yeah, good sleep out of Vance going onto that Reaper ult.
Yeah, that was a huge sleep. And they get the beat out as well.
Falling really low. Vance falling. So he's just ISO in right now. Trying to get out. There you go.
Soggy Bread did make the swap to Brig now.
Probably trying to prevent a little bit more of that the Reaper Monkey in the back line. Probably just trying to support Vance a little bit more in the back line here. So they're just trying to kite out this Kiri ult, wait for it to be done, and then re-engage here with the Monkey Jump. Along with Blade being pulled out. I didn't hear that. So
Yeah, I didn't hear it either.
yeah, getting that Junkrat, that high damage out early. The Monkey falling to the Reaper. They're going to be able to get this Genji here. Oh, just barely not be able to get a touch back on the point.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Really a good second point here out of Purdue. And the ults are starting to kind of stack up for the side of Purdue. Soggy now making another switch to Kiri, like you said. It's going to be tough to get that ult back up now. I like the swap, though. Kiri very strong here. Definitely great in this current kind of meta we're in. So I like to see the Kiri, but this late, it's going to be tough to get that ult. So Winston diving in for the side of WMU, trying to create some space, but really just that high damage is poking him right out.
The Winston being a little more aggressive here. We're seeing the Primal come out. He still gets shredded, even in his Primal, due to that Reaper and the Junkrat having such high damage output.
Yeah, both Primals were brought out from both sides. We did see Purdue try to invest it. Grognog tried to look for kind of a backline dive when he saw the Primal from the side of Monkey come out, not able to capitalize. For now, WMU stabilizes with a minute and a half to go. Junkrat ult, Riptire is out, looking for something in the backline and finds Vance, and this is going to be a tough fight now.
Purdue also having the ult advantage in this fight can easily clean up. Yep, there goes Reaper ult just to finish off the Monkey pretty much. Going here just to get a final touch. There goes Katsune and Beat to finish it off. On Watch Point Gibraltar. That was a pretty strong attack for the last 2 sections for Purdue. WMU holding on for that first little section for quite a bit, but kind of falling apart towards the end. Really to the ultimate advantage in there. Kept seeing 1 ult being used for Purdue and then 2 for WMU. It just kept putting it, kind of kept stacking to where Purdue was always at an ult advantage there.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, the first point was so good, but the second and third, Purdue really got a foothold there and just didn't really let off. This Purdue team seems kind of like a momentum-based team. Like when they're up, they're up. Kind of reflected in their record being 2-3 in the regular season. When they're on, they're on. But they definitely can have some lows. So I feel like the key here is just find that first little chink in the armor. You know, you start to see it a little bit on that first point. Unfortunately, old stack up and Purdue's able to cap. But I think if they can just keep momentum down, or at least even this, a real shot for WMU to get in this series. I mean, a minute 10 on the clock isn't terrible either. Definitely a decent hold overall in the defensive half.
Yeah, we'll have to see how. I think WMU trying to get this first point, this first section done really quickly, and trying to push that card as far as possible, and trying to taking advantage of this first section will be a huge part in their push here. So we'll see how they go in. And they still have that high damage backline with that Reaper Junkrat though. Monkey's kind of just getting blown up almost due to that. So we'll see. Jester on Hanzo, very interesting, and then ISO on the Genji, opting for a Zenyatta, probably just trying to blow up that Monkey a little more when he dives in. Of the Winston for Purdue. Bubble out early for Purdue, just trying to hold on to that, jumping back. This is the part of the map that is all about pushing that cart just little by little. It's falling really low, just barely not being able to get out.
Like you said, the damage is just so high for this DPS line on Purdue that they are just instantly blowing it up. They do get a pick here on the Junkrat at least, so with how quick Monkey can get back into this, they should be up one for at least a little bit here. Chance to maybe get some progress under this bridge.
That Monkey chasing down the other Winston. Having that Lucio fall low. Jester finishing off the Reaper there in the back line. That's a really good pick for them. Monkey be able to apply a little bit more pressure here due to that Reaper falling early.
Yeah, that's a huge pick. That Reaper has been really a menace for Monkey, making his life extremely difficult. Chance to maybe get
Discord
the pick
orb
here.
on there,
Nice.
yeah. The Discord from Vance is really supporting that, killing that Winston there. Without a bubble, he kind of just was sat in the open and just got obliterated.
Yeah, there was nothing he could do there. And 5 minutes now on the clock. What a first segment. Yeah. This second segment to me is one of the tougher ones to take because there's just so much to be mindful of. But it is looking like light work here for the side WMU. Like I said, this momentum gets going. This could be where they turn this tide in this series.
Vance opting to swap to Zenyatta is a very good pick for this. Kind of just isolating this. The Winston for Purdue is kind of like isolating himself, and Vance is just able to put the Discord on him, and everyone just turns and blows him up pretty much.
Yeah, you can see Vance already had his ult here, as well as Jester. On the other side, just the Curie ready. So it's going to be a tough fight again for Purdue. If WMU times up these ults correctly, they could really have a great fight here, maybe?
Yeah. Curie from Purdue going out, and then we have the Zenyatta using. There goes down their Purdue's tank, and kind of the rest just following. Curie all not enough to win that fight for Purdue. Having the Curie die early on in that fight was very vital for WMU to win that fight.
Yeah, that was huge. And Lucio chose not to invest the beat. I lied.
Well,
trying to go in and counter fight. Maybe.
Lucio falling down early, but Vance being picked off from the backline by the Riptire. There comes out Blade getting one on the Curie. No supports for Purdue right now. They have an advantage here. WMU having the advantage here.
Primal does come out here. Wow, really the only ult left on the field is Monkey's Primal. He's going to invest it.
There.
Surprisingly it took him that long.
Curie using TP early on. Monkey trying to probably look for the Kiriko. Purdue just barely being able to hold on with their Winston just sitting on cart. Monkey falling. Yeah, that's being able to stall that long for Purdue was very vital for them.
Yeah, I'm surprised Monkey really waited a while to invest his ult. I think he was trying to hold it for that third point maybe, to give them an advantage, but unfortunately it backfires a little and he pops it just a little too late, where Purdue was able to get back into that fight and not have quite the effect he was hoping for. ISO gets picked now, and you just kind of need it. If you're WMU, you just kind of got to reset, get the ults going again. Unfortunately, though, you invested so much late into that fight that now Purdue does kind of have that ult advantage you've been talking about all series. Chance for them to kind of capitalize. They got Reaper. They're getting close on Junkrat as well.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing a stalemate here. Just trying to get damage, trying to get picked, trying to force out abilities. ISO falling low there, having to fall back a little bit, but Monk trying to take that space. Good pulse onto the Monk, onto their Winston. Winston falling low here. Winston getting picked by Jester here. Probably gonna see the Reaper ult coming out here. Or Jester kind of just being a menace, just finishing off all of those kills.
ISO and Jester find a couple. Vance there cleans up the Lucio at the end. A little bit of the disrespectful kick. Trying to assert himself a bit. I like it. 3 minutes to go here on the clock. Ult's getting closer to even now as that Reaper really holding on to his. Now WMU having a chance to kind of balance it out, get some of theirs back. That was a big concern of mine if they weren't able to get that second point was could they get the ults back to even. They are able to do that. Now on to the third point, looking to get up some time, hopefully. Chance here, they're trying to take this first corner.
It's like Soggy Bread is really close to Kitsune here. Probably gonna rip it as soon as he gets it soon. There it goes. There's 2 ults coming out of just kind of an ult throwing right now, just throwing ults at the Kitsune. There goes down the Reaper. WMU down 1 right now. Just looking for one more pick possibly. Purdue's Lucio finding 2 and then ISO getting picked off in the end.
Yeah, Vance did invest his ult too. I think they thought they could turn that fight. So 2 for 3 on the ults. On the side of WMU, you have both your DPS ults ready, so still a really good shot at a good fight here. And Beats down on the other side. You just kind of have to watch out for that Kitsune rush.
Yeah. WMU using 2 ults for that fight wasn't that bad for 3.
Yeah.
Purdue using Primal here just to kind of clean up this fight. WMU probably just trying to look for a reset here after getting Primal out.
Yeah.
Ooh, I just realized why you got Ajax on that blade.
Yeah, he tried it. He got 1 and then got punished for it. But yeah, still a minute 30 here, about even on time if they can win this next fight.
Monkey only one having ultimate for WMU, using it, trying to force out that Reaper.
Is that
Lucio
the
falling
Lucio?
low. Yeah,
Nice.
getting that Lucio. One of the supports down for Purdue here. Monkey kind of just going in. Ooh, getting that high damage from that Junkrat, being able to get off and get Monkey dead there.
Yeah, you gotta watch
W's up
out.
1 here. Van's really close to Transcendence as well.
Yeah, that Kirizen holding this Kitsune rush for a while now.
You can see Mauga swap Purdue trying to just hold on to that last bit for the point.
Yeah,
And
that Malga with Kitsune rush is scary. I
Yeah.
would not want to be in front of that right
WMU
now.
just opting to kite that out. They have plenty of time, although it's lower than Purdue right now. But just trying to win this map right here, going to OT. There goes Transcendence coming out, save the Monkey.
Yeah, you gotta look for this Reaper. This Reaper does have ult. Just about.
Yeah, ISO getting 1 pick and then Jester getting the other. Yo, Mauga falling. It's good clean up by WMU. We'll be looking into OT for map 2.
Yeah, I mean, only a 50-second difference. Not terrible. It's really going to come down to how quickly Purdue can build ults there. With that minute 50, they might be hitting that first cycle of ults. So if you're on the defensive half for WMU, you've got to win that first battle of ults. And on the other side, you've got to win a couple of fights quick.
Yeah, we've seen from the last attacking side for Purdue and the defense for WMU. They struggled on this first section of this escort on Watchpoint Gibraltar. So hopefully WMU can play that well, just like last time, and be able to shut them down early and not have to push that cart as far.
Yeah, I actually really like Vance keeping the Zen here. It was working really well, and he was able to build ult really quickly in that last round. So I love it, the way he was able to punish a couple of the players. They're going to be on attack first. Sorry, that's my bad. They're going to be attacking first is WMU, but we'll wait to tell you what the other team is playing. Just a couple of seconds here once we get underway. Soggy Bread, though, going to be rocking the Cure here. He's been doing it the last couple of minutes. Makes sense to stay on it. And
Yeah.
ISO and Jester still. Oh, Jester's going to do. So he did this last round, kind of like when you go Widow. Goes up top quick, looks for a quick little pick, and then swaps back to Tracer.
Yeah, just having that Kiri in the backline supporting with the Suzu being able, with this high damage output for the DPS on Purdue is going to be very nice for the team. Not really sure. It looks like Purdue is opting to try and hold and bunker below.
Yeah, it
A
makes
very
sense
interesting
with the
option.
Malga.
Yeah, trying to use their Malga composition and just kind of stall the point right at the bottom of that bridge.
Yeah, Zen's got to hit a Discord onto this Malga if they want to win this fight.
Yeah, Monkey trying to isolate the Malga out, but I'm going to be able to. There's Discord on Malga,
Yeah,
getting the
that's
chase
huge.
there. Suzu coming out from
Suzu, though.
Purdue. Vance falling early and Monkey falling as well.
Yeah, that Kiri just won that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be. Should be the half. I don't think anyone's going to have time.
ISO getting a pick on the jump right early there.
Yeah, he's
Gives
got
a whole
touch.
nother point. It's really going to be ults here, seeing if ISO can build his ult, but that's not going to be enough.
Yeah, Monkey gets booped there.
Trying to stall on, trying to see if we can get an ultimate in here somewhere. So that's the attacking side of W. Not too hot. Yeah, that looks like Purdue really likes their Malga composition. They played a lot better when using Malga when compared to running their Monkey.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of that came down to what part of the map they were in. They were able to just kind of bunker, and kind of like we saw on the first map, when they were able to just play that tight space and just able to bunker in with the Malga, they do really, really well. I think for the side of WMU, I mean, you're going to need essentially perfect Overwatch for about 2 minutes here. Really can't have any major slip ups. So it's not impossible, but definitely a tall task here if they're going to want to stay alive here in this map too. And we do see there's the ROM.
Yeah, I believe it's kind of forced in this situation with WMU not pushing the cart that much, kind of having to force the brawl, the matching on the brawl. So we'll see how that works here. Yeah. So opting for a more of a bunker comp, kind of like how Purdue did, but now without Malga and with the Ramatra.
Yeah, I think it's the right play. Where they are on the map, they're basically just gonna have to play high-low on this bridge. So it makes sense. I like what we're seeing here out of WMU. Interesting pick though. They're gonna give up the junk for a sim, which I don't hate. Obviously, with the turrets, could really build some charge quickly.
Oh, sim just being used for the TP, so back to jump rat.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, just trying to take the high ground advantage here for Purdue. Jester trying to just putting pressure on that high ground as well.
Yeah, Monkey's just gonna wait here. He's just gonna sit and wait for something to happen.
down goes
Jester gets picked.
Jester
though.
early. Yeah, Jester holding that high ground, trying to sustain it just for a little bit longer. Ramatra falling too early. Vance getting that pick on the Reaper. ISO kind of just acting as a tank right now, trying to stay alive. Falling. Yeah, that brawl composition, especially with that Malga, is going to be difficult. It's just such a high damage composition that it's basically a tank battle. Whose tank can die first, really? And the Malga is going to have the more sustain in that advantage.
Yeah, Malga Reaper Junk is a lot of damage output. That seems to be kind of their MO here, and so far it's worked here. Purdue Fort Wayne takes map 2 and goes up 2-0 in the series. Now WMU backs against the wall. What do you have in your back pocket here? I mean, you probably expect a Malga ban here. I'd be surprised to not see either a Malga ban or a Reaper ban or a Junk ban, because it seems like Purdue's pretty much stuck on those comps. They're pretty set on that. It's working. They don't necessarily have to switch a lot up. So the bans are probably going to play a big factor. Obviously, we've got to see what the map is yet, but the Malga surprisingly effective in overtime. Obviously, given the where on the map it was, it made sense, but tough map loss going into map number 3. WMU Varsity looking to rally back here, find a way back into the series. The momentum was definitely there for a minute, but just couldn't quite keep it going. Unfortunately, that second and third map point just really seemed to be where they lost that map.
Yeah, it kind of they had a very good first half for the first section for attack, but the second and third kind of sprinkled throughout and kind of had a little bit iffiness in there, kind of losing the momentum a little bit, probably, and then going into the OT, kind of losing more momentum, seeing the Mauga composition with that big bunker. It's very hard to fight against, especially when you roll out on that dive composition.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, there's not a whole lot of counters, but essentially mirroring that at that point. And they attempted it with the ROM, but unfortunately, the first couple of picks went to Purdue, and that was all she wrote on map 2. I think the big things when you go into map 3, like we saw it, if you can get Purdue on the back foot, they quickly start slipping. But if you let them get a lead, it's tough to come back from. They definitely get momentum and hold it. But just that little bit, we saw it on the attacking side the first 2 points, they just really started to dominate for, they had 5 minutes on the second point. I think if they can just get Purdue on that back foot, it's anything's possible here, especially with momentum. That's how series go all the time.
Yeah, momentum is key. WMU opting to pick Coliseo for their map. Another map which could be used for both brawl and dive, and seeing a little bit of poke. We might see that a Domina come out for WMU. I'm assuming based on bans, the Purdue looking for that Mauga, but we'll see what WMU ban. I would probably ban the Mauga here if I was WMU, but seeing as the Reaper and the Junkrat just having such high damage output, I would almost opt to ban one of them.
Yeah, I think any three of those would make a lot of sense here. It's funny because like those aren't usually bans you see a lot. I mean, sometimes you'll see a Mauga ban, but I feel like I haven't seen Junk or Reaper be heavily banned in the last couple of seasons. So definitely a surprise in how well Purdue's playing that. It's a pretty niche kind of comp.
Yeah, just having that high damage is just. I know we keep saying that high damage, high damage, high damage. It's that high damage just blows up the tank. Without a tank, you kind of team just fizzles and falls apart. So that's Purdue's goal is probably just high damage, get that tank dead as quick as possible, and then pick off the rest.
Yeah, it's definitely it's counterintuitive to how you think. You think you want to take out the support first because they do all the healing. If you don't have heals, then you die. But for them, it's definitely been their goal in the first couple of maps is let's just blow up the tank. It's going to be a junk ban.
Yep.
Makes sense with Calzio. There's a lot of spots that he can kind of hide and bounce nades off. So I like the ban there.
Yeah, Junk has been kind of. It's hard to put pressure on Junk when he's just lobbing nades into the back line or lobbing nades into WMU's tank. While it's hard to jump him as he just uses his mines to get away really quickly. Purdue banning Diva, enabling that Mauga composition. So we'll expecting to see Purdue playing Mauga here as we've seen in the past 2 maps.
Yeah, I know we'll never see it, but I'd love to see a horse here. I don't know. I know we'll never see it because there's so many counters to it and it's just not meta, but I would love to see a horse because, like, a really good horse, man, the damage output on that is insane.
Yeah. Ressa being played here would not be a bad option, especially with hit scan. This map does have longer range opportunities here. So it could definitely be advantageous for WMU to run some type of poke comp as well. We know we do like our dive compositions, but poke could also work very well here.
Yeah, I think you're gonna need a poke or a brawl. It seems like the side of Purdue has the dive figured out. They just really were successful in countering the dive. I would be surprised to see another dive comp rolled out. I know that's WMU's bread and butter, but it seems like Purdue did their homework, knew that is what to expect, and we're going to see what looks to be a mirror match. And I love if ISO runs this.
Actually, yeah, that is trying just to obliterate their Mauga pretty much using this Bastion would be crazy. Seeing the Orisa,
they're trolling me.
Big smile on your face.
No, they're just trolling me. I know they're gonna go Mauga, but that's all right.
No, it looks like they're rolling out
I'm
Orisa
so
here.
Oh man,
just
I'm so
opting to go hits, basically going all hit scan, trying to, I'm assuming, just obliterate this Mauga here, especially as soon as Vance gets a nade off. Pretty much shoot this Mauga as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Jester falling early to the Kiri. Looks like WMU's just gonna have to back up and reset here.
Yeah, you can't fight down
No.
support in Amalga. Oh no.
Yeah, and the Mauga charge with the Lucio speed is just gonna chase down ISO.
Yeah, Monkey also gonna fall there. Unfortunately, they were just all over that backline the second one fell. So unfortunate start there. It's kind of what we talked about in the last map was that first kill has just been all Purdue. It continues here as a trend. Gonna need to change here if WMU is gonna get into this series.
ISO trying to force out. Reaper. This Mauga is just finds one every single time.
Yeah, he's so great about how he goes in. He's very patient. Almost plays poke for a little bit, and then he just waits for kind of the tank to get a little distracted, and then just covers that space back up.
Yeah.
It's almost like a bait and switch.
Yeah, as soon as he sees one person low in their back line, immediately swap, immediately goes in. Yes, they're trying to duel. It's TP and Suzu out from Kiri. Mauga falling here. This is pretty advantageous for WMU. Jester falling here.
Yeah, Orisa has a lot of sustain, but unfortunately they're going into a Reaper. But there's the Nano. That should be
Nano forcing him out.
hopefully.
Trying not to get the forward spawn, but Purdue being able to get the forward spawn anyways.
Yeah, at least able to win the fight. I think that's the biggest thing. They invest 1-0 obviously to do it, but I don't hate it there. They needed to win that fight and get some momentum back going the other way. Forward spawns will be in favor of Purdue, obviously. But now
The early Nano out though could be a little bit of a disadvantage for WMU. Kitsune coming out early, but trying to force out that Mauga using Cage. Monkey being able to get the Lucio here. And the Mauga falling as well.
Yeah, so we're starting to put in work.
Yeah, using that orbital countering Cage is very well.
Yeah, there's nowhere the Mauga can go. He's stuck in there, and that's a great play there.
Yeah, good stagger on the Reaper as well.
Yeah, that was a great play. This Lucio is only at 66 ult charge, so this Lucio's having a rough start to this map, and maybe they can start to bully him a little bit.
Yeah, WMU having an ult advantage with both DPS ults.
Yeah, the Bastion can be really good for creating space. So exactly, yep, that's exactly what we're going to see. They're going to use it, create some space here, try to work behind.
Mauga diving the backline pretty much. You see the Reaper ult, and just to be able to kill the Reaper before the ult even ends. So they're trying to focus out the Mauga here. And Mauga's just being able to keep that sustain going.
Yeah, he doesn't die easy. He does not die easy, and yeah, there's a reason he's been just a menace on this map. It does look like the ban on the junk was a good decision, but still a about 30-meter advantage here for Purdue. The horse is working, but they just gotta find a pick earlier into these fights.
Yeah, Vance having it Nano again.
Yeah.
Building Nanos very quickly. Reaper almost falling, but the buys are coming out for Purdue. Finding one. Vance falling before being able to use Nano. Monkey having his ult. Might see it come out. Facing down. And Monkey falling, and then Jester follows.
Yeah, they just don't seem to have an answer for this Mauga. I don't know what the answer is. The Bastion is definitely melting it, but the supports are just good enough on the side of Purdue to keep them up.
We're getting close to a 3-3 match on the ultimates here if Soggy can build orbital first. But there's Nano coming out on the Bastion just to obliterate the Mauga. And Purdue's just going to kind of fall back and get picked off. That's a good fight win for WMU. Though it wasn't ult used to win that fight, and Purdue having 3, WMU also having 3 here, so still having that match with ISO building that ult very quick from the Nano.
Yeah, that's been big. That's something that I think they needed, was kind of those ults advantage, or at least even. Curie does invest the ult. Juno will counter.
Yeah, Monkey looking for the early ult, especially in that orbital, beating off of Monkey's ults and using Cage.
Yeah, that was a really good spot for that Cage.
3 ults used for Purdue and just being picked off a little late for a little bit of stagger. Yeah, 3 ults used on Purdue for the 2 on WMU. Not the worst trade, but WMU now having both DPS ults and Purdue coming close on Reaper's ult here.
Yeah, I think what's tough though is when you're on this back foot, you can't afford to lose many more fights here.
Yeah.
You got to start to turn this game on its head.
And so using Bastion's ults to try and force out some space from them. Trying to get rid of that Mauga. Mauga dying, but at the cost of 3 from WMU. Monkey trying to hold on for as long as possible here. Falling a little bit late.
Yeah, Soggy Bread will also go ahead and jump off the map and reset, but this poke has to slow down this push. It's done just that. They're off the robot for now, so chance here for WMU to recover, try to reset here.
Yeah, trying to kill that Mauga as quick as possible, but it's almost like he's kind of just stuck and he keeps going on the back line. It's always he's very well with his charge, always keeping it split. Just for using overclock here, but Reaper opting to pretty much counter it. Nano coming out onto Monkey as well, looking to kill the Mauga in that back line. Mauga kind of just sustaining and being able to get that kill on the Vance. Monkey's the last one on cart, just trying to stall a little bit.
Yeah, this Mauga is absolutely oppressive. I don't know if there is a great counter here. This is going to take some very, very elite gameplay here these last 3 minutes. It's not by any means impossible, and I am 100% confident that WMU can do it, but this is going to be, there's got to be some kind of turn to turn on this Mauga. I'm not entirely sure. And there it goes again. Mauga finding 2. Ult from Monkey ain't going to be enough.
Tsune.
This is going to be a full push.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a series. Purdue Fort Wayne takes it 3-0 and advances to the semifinals of the NACE Division 1 Varsity Plus playoffs. WMU ends off a fairly solid season, just being in that top conference, takes being one of the top 8 teams in the entirety of Varsity Plus. So GG's to Purdue Fort Wayne. Unfortunate finish for the season, but another 2 teams still in action. Super Smash Bros. Rocket League kicking off their playoff runs on Thursday night. Those will be at 7 and 8:30, so we hope to see you guys there. I know we're going to come back to the casters here for a second. Ryan, final thoughts here as we close out the Overwatch season for Varsity.
It was hard fought. I mean, there was definitely ups and downs here for Varsity here, and it was a hard fought. That Mauga definitely putting a lot of pressure on that back line and splitting the team caused a lot of issues for WMU, but in the end, hard fought. I would say the maps weren't crazy difference besides that last one kind of got full pushed, but hard fought for WMU. It wasn't too much they could do. It's just high damage composition that Purdue is running here, so it's pretty tough loss, but it's not a bad way to end off the season, I would say.
Yeah, I know a lot of these guys returning. I want to give a quick shout out to ISO. He's been a big part of the program in the past. Graduating senior, obviously, huge shout out to him. He's put in a lot of work this season. He's been a big part of what was a great season. So shout out to ISO, and excited to see everyone back in the fall. I mean, tryouts are always a blast. You never know who's going to show up, and always going to be fun.
Yeah, definitely. It's always a blast from tryouts, so I'm excited for that as well.
Yeah, just a few months away, but before we get there, again, Thursday, 7 and 8:30, tune in for some Rocket League and Smash action. They're kicking off their playoff runs. Once again, I am Coach DK.
Yeah, Ryan the Rhino.
Ryan the Rhino signing off for tonight. GG's Purdue Fort Wayne takes it 3-0.